Hey everyone, welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Danielle Perry and I am the host. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in today to this podcast. And if this is your first time, this is a Christian podcast which features people of all ages. And they share a bit of their story about how God has helped them to overcome a difficult challenge, situation, or season in their lives. Or maybe they're on their way to overcoming with God's help. And they do share authentically. Well, y'all, I'm super excited because this is the first episode of the marriage series, and it features none other than Shedrick and Erica Elliott. And the title of this episode is Overcoming Self-Reliance in Marriage. Thank y'all again, Erica and Shed, for being on. Y'all already know, y'all were my first couple that I interviewed, and it was a blast. And for those of you who will view this episode, you will see why I said that, okay? So thank y'all again for just sharing a bit of your story. I know that it's gonna bless others. And for those of you who don't know, we have been friends for years, y'all. They are such a lovely, hilarious, just authentic couple that I appreciate so much. And for those of you who don't know, they are expecting their first child. Yes, their first child, a beautiful baby boy. So I'm super excited for them. And y'all just know that baby is not only going to be blessed, but spoiled. Y'all know how many people have been waiting for this baby? This baby about to be spoiled. I just want to throw that out there. Anyway, y'all, here it is. This is part 1 of episode 28. I want you to enjoy and be blessed. And they are none other than the Elliotts. I have Erica and Shedrick on. What's up, y'all?
Hey.
It's so good to have y'all on. The Lord put you guys on my heart to have on just to share a bit about your marriage with us. And the title of today's episode is called Overcoming Self-Reliance in Marriage. I think it's a topic that couples can relate to, particularly men, I think. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. All right. So before we delve into the questions, I want you guys to just introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about who you are.
You go first.
All righty. So I'm Erica Elliott. I am Shedrick's wife. I am a woodworker. I also am a singer.
I guess so.
I dance on occasion. I'm the creative one in our marriage. I am the butterfly in this whole thing, the glitter, the spark, if you will.
You got that right.
And he's my anchor. He's my steady line. He keeps me good. But yeah, I also work at an office building. So I was an office manager, but I kind of put it to the side to do woodworking. So that's my focus. And that's me. We don't have enough time to get into like everything that is I, but that's
I love it.
A quick little recap of who I am, I guess.
And so I'm Shedrick, Elliott III. Let's see. I coach track and field. I've been doing that now for 17 years. The last 9 years at, I know it's crazy.
Wow.
The last 9 years at Johns Hopkins University. And I absolutely love it there. Other than that, I don't know. What else do I do?
You love cycling.
Oh, I love cycling.
Right.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm an avid cyclist. I just dropped my bike off with my mechanic. So, love cycling. If I could, I would love to go pro one day, but that's not realistic. But,
Why not?
so, I love coaching, love cycling, love working out. That's probably about it. I feel like that's my
That's all it is.
That's all it
You
is.
don't have much more.
Yes.
Wow. So you said 9 years at Johns Hopkins.
9 years.
So
which is crazy.
that's the last time y'all been here.
Are you serious?
Yes.
For real?
Because it was around that time that you just started working, and sadly I think you lost one of your students.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes.
that was when I first became full-time at Hopkins.
Full
So that's
time. Okay.
Almost 6 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah. It
9
wasn't that
years
long
ago.
No. Yeah.
Wow.
That was July 13th, 2017. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been 6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Still a long
That's not too bad. It's still a long time.
It
All
is
right.
though.
Yeah.
Too long.
I know.
Yeah, we make sure that won't happen again.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's so good to have y'all on. For those of you who don't know, I met Shedrick before I met Erica. Shedrick and I both attended Towson University.
Mm-hmm.
Erica was there too
I was
for
there.
a little minute.
I was there.
She was there for a little
But
minute.
I wasn't where y'all was at. I was in the other part.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone.
Right.
That's another show.
That's another show, right?
Yeah.
We don't talk about on your episode.
On mine. Leave it alone.
But I met Shedrick first. How did we meet? Was it through Janae?
It was like one of those online like blogs. You remember?
Zanga.
Yes,
That's
what
how
it
we
was.
met.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that was like almost 20 years ago.
Dang.
Yeah.
No, it ain't been that long.
Yeah.
Shedrick. We not that old.
I went to Towson 05. I enrolled
So almost 20 years.
2005. It was
gosh.
2023.
I know,
18 years.
okay.
18 is close to 20. Yeah.
We are not
we
old.
Numbers work.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we met
Yeah.
through there, and
Mhm.
then I guess we found out we both attended Towson.
Yep.
And yeah, so we were friends at Towson, and I know you were friends
Yes,
with Janae as well.
Yep.
And then this is a funny story. So fast forward to when I was about to get married.
Yeah.
Shedrick asked me, "Can I bring someone to your wedding?" I'm like, "Shit, like we're a little tight on
Ask somebody
numbers,
that.
you know,
Listen,
like."
I take risks.
I know our invitations were not typical. Like we did not have to include a guest on the invitation because we wanted to invite so many people. I look back at that now. I'm like, oh my gosh, people were coming by themselves, Lord. But Shedrick was asking like this. I just want to. I was like, Shed, I don't know. And then some time passed, and he asked me again. I'm like, yo, he really wants to bring this person.
Yeah.
Come to find out, I think I had already met you by that
Yeah.
point. But I didn't know you were who he wanted to bring.
Yeah, I don't think anyone put it together because we met in like April
Yeah, we met
Yeah.
before then.
and you got married in like July. or
I got
something.
married in July.
Yeah.
So I knew you, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that y'all were like, you know,
Yeah.
a thing, a couple, or on your way.
Yeah.
Were you guys dating yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It
So
was super quick.
when you guys showed up at the wedding, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's who you wanted to bring. I was really like, yeah, like, oh my gosh. Or you know what? No, I think I found out before then. It was at a gathering. It was like a women's gathering. I don't know when I found out that y'all were
It was
together.
very close to your wedding. When
It
you
was
found
very
out.
close
Yeah.
to my wedding. Okay, but either way,
Good time. Yeah, good time.
I was happy when I found out that you guys were a couple because I knew both of you individually, and so it was just like, this is great. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I just had to tell that story.
No,
I thought that was
awesome.
hilarious. So, all right, we're gonna hop into the questions, y'all. We're gonna have our audience kind of get to know you guys a little bit better. And first, we're gonna start out with how and when did you guys meet?
You want to
So
get my
you
version?
decide, or
Or-
my side?
We'll give you a side first.
No, I feel like
Ladies first.
oh my god. I feel like it's something else. Anyway, we officially met in June
June
of
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I'm bad with dates, so
No,
yeah.
not 2013.
No, it was. June 5th, 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
We got married.
July
In
August 3rd,
2014.
2014. Yeah.
Oh, so y'all met a month before we got married.
Oh, it was
then.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Okay.
So I was in a play,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to rehearsal for the play,
Mm-hmm.
and I was upset about something that's irrelevant now. And my friend in the play was like, long story short, I know this nice guy. I think you guys would like hit it off. And she told me to go on Facebook to like see what it looks like, you know, if you're interested, whatever. She was like, he's super shy. He won't say anything to you. So I go on Facebook, and his page was private. So I had to like friend him. And so I texted her like, yo, his page is not like, it's private. She's like, he's super shy. He won't say anything. So I friend him. The next day I'm at work, I get a message like, how do I know you? And I'm just like, he won't say anything. So I'm like, oh, we know, we have the same friend. Like, she said you were cool people. And he was like, okay. And then we just started talking. And that was it. Like that, I mean, from there on, like, it's just, we've been cool
Yeah.
since.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it. So I guess
Okay.
from my vantage point, I had actually maybe 2-3 months prior ended an engagement. And so at that stage, I was very, I guess you could say, sensitive to anybody reaching out for
Absolutely.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't trust nobody.
Hence the privacy.
So lock everything down. So it was June 5th when she sent me that friend request. And I immediately sent her a message. I also went through all her photos. And so
all the Facebook photos.
I went through all her Facebook photos.
Which, unlike the rest of the people at this table, my Facebook photos, they get real.
Oh, they were
especially
ratchet.
in the early 2000s.
That's that other story. That's that other episode.
The other side of housing? That's where I was.
It was kind of ratchet.
Kinda.
However, what had came up was, as I was scrolling through, I had realized 2 years prior, so I think it was like September, it was late September of 2011, I'd actually seen her at a play of one of my former athletes at the time, her older sister, who was also the friend that kind of was like, hey, I know this guy that y'all might, kind of hit up or whatever. And so I remember I had went to that play and I had saw her then, but I was a punk back then. Plus, the crowd she was with, I'll leave it at that. At that time, it was a one-person crowd. Kind of left me intimidated. So
Someone else that came to see me at the play was a guy.
Another male, yes. Might have been close to her, and so I'm like, I don't think I should say anything. But I remember saying to Naylise at the time, like, man, like, she is so fine. And that was it, though. I wasn't going to say nothing to her. And so fast forward, I'm going through the photos, and I see photos from that night of that play. And I'm like, oh, that's that girl. So then from there, I kind of took it from there. Okay. And so we met up 2 days later, because remember I called out of work. I was working at the bank at the time. I worked at night. And so we went up to a park in White Marsh, and we talked for like 8 hours.
We did.
Wow.
And then from there, I think it was probably like 3 to 4 weeks later, I'm basically like, all right, we for real. And we just kind of took it from there. It was very intentional. Yeah. All the way from there.
I gotta tell how he asked you to be his girlfriend.
Okay.
I should have knew then the life I would have ahead of me. We were in a grocery store,
Okay.
and we were shopping. I think I had to pick up something. Because why were we there together? I don't know.
Was that Shoppers?
It was Shoppers. Yes, yeah. And so I'm like this way, and he's behind me, and then he says my name, gets my attention. I turn around, he has flowers in his hand, and he's like, will you be my girlfriend? And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. And he's like, cool, and puts the flowers back. And I was like, we laughed so hard in that Shoppers. I was like, sir, do you really just put them back? He's like, I mean, I'm like,
it's done.
It's done. It's not, like, homeboy did not buy those flowers.
Look at you.
The shop, yeah. And I still was like, this is the man for me. This is the man for me.
I love it.
So,
oh my God.
That's how we are.
I love it.
Here we are now.
Right.
Yeah, it got you where you need to go.
It did. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, he put the flowers right back.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Good times.
Yo,
It was a good time.
That's funny.
That was the beginning.
So how long did you guys date before moving into marriage?
It was quick. So that would have been, you're talking June we met. I want to say it was in that November, I told her mother that I wanted to marry her. I talked to her dad as well. And then I proposed Valentine's Day. And then 6 months after that, we got married. So I guess you could say we were dating, if I'm including the engagement period, 13 months, I guess.
Yeah.
13 to 14 months, if that.
Yeah.
So, but everything was intentional. But that's also how I've been that's just how I've been raised. You just do things with an intent. So I don't want to waste time on anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember, Erica, you were just in a very, I guess, pivotal point in your life as far as your relationship with God, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually around the time I met you. You were basically beginning to just come into your relationship with God.
Yeah.
And so kind of talk about how was that? Because now you're dating a man of God and you're transitioning into this whole taking your relationship with God seriously.
That's a great question. That is a great question. So I remember the event we were at in April, and that was my first time seeing like young, stylish, pretty, normal, like serious about Christ women. Because at the time, I think we were all like 25, 24, something like that. And so everyone I knew was either like in the streets with me. I was like in the streets. It wasn't nothing crazy. Like I wasn't in the streets, but like, you party and stuff like that. Or they were like turtleneck, like long denim skirt, like don't know who Beyonce is. Like, just at that time, anytime, just like, and I was like, I can't relate. And so y'all were like normal. And I remember at that meeting having like really committing, like, all right, I'm gonna stop drinking. Like, I'm gonna really chill out. And so it was crazy because I feel like I stopped drinking in April. I met Shed in June. Like, I really feel like God was just like, I'm waiting on you. Like, I have so much in store, but you have got to listen to me. And I've been convicted about the drinking thing for years. Like, I would like be sitting in church and just is like, stop drinking. And I'm like, I don't know who God's talking to because it can't be me. Because when I leave here, you know what's going on. So it was just like, really just like listening and being obedient.
Yeah.
And then because of the character of who Shed is, I didn't have an opportunity to really pull away from Christ because his life was centered around that. So like I tell people, you know, Shed doesn't drink, doesn't curse, doesn't smoke. He doesn't do any of those things. Like, he's not like, oh, let's go on vacation in Miami and turn up.
Right.
Because I'm like, if he was that guy, it'd have been so easy to slip back. But because he doesn't do that, I didn't have the temptation. So kind of when I made that change, I didn't have a reason to really revert.
Yep.
I still don't. Like, for me to revert would be to kind of like turn it for my whole life at this point.
Right.
But when I met him, I always tell people it's like when you plug your phone in and it starts charging. That's how I felt. It was just like, it clicked. It just, and it wasn't like, I mean, I'm a little dramatic. So I was thinking it would be, you know, a whole Disney moment, you know, sweeping off the feet and just, I'm in a ball gown and, you know, like birds are chirping. And it was just very much like home, just really safe and chill. And like I was telling people, I never had a reason not to be with him. It's never been a day where it doesn't make sense to be with him. So it really made everything easier. And then, like, I remember he put me on to different bloggers at the time and people I still follow now that were, like, women focused on Christ. So what I was listening to, what I was reading, all changed. So it really didn't feel as heavy of a transition.
Okay.
It's like I took a step and then everything was just there.
Wow.
So it kind of made sense. And I had you guys, too. So it's like I wasn't really... I mean, I still had some challenges with some of my friends, but my friends were very supportive. We just didn't hang out as much. But they weren't, like, mean. They just were like, you're not coming. So,
right.
But it wasn't... I don't feel like it was as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So my next question for you guys was, did you know early on that you two were meant for each other? And it sounds like you pretty much knew early on, would you say?
Yeah, I felt like, I don't know, I might have my dates mixed up. Because I feel like when I say this, we were on like a mountain. Was it Carlisle, Pennsylvania? Or maybe that was like, I love you. Maybe that was the first
That
time
was I love you. No,
okay,
we were on vacation in Savannah
gotcha.
in August.
Okay, so then that's still, to answer your question,
That
was
was
2 months.
2 months in.
Yeah, it was
we
2
took a
months
road trip was it to Savannah?
To Savannah, yeah.
And I remember on that road trip, we were talking about, like, wedding dates, I think. Because back then, he was like, we can't get married during the season because I'm not going to miss a track. I'm not going to miss a track meet. We've come a mighty long way.
We have. No, we definitely have.
We still have a ways to go, but we've come a mighty long way. And then you still with the track meets.
It's hard.
But yeah, we knew pretty early on. And it was crazy because, like, I can be very indecisive. But I had prayed, like, even when I was still out and about, I remember, like, leaving the club, like, being, you know, I'm home, it's 2, 3 a.m., and just praying for my future spouse and praying that, like, which is crazy now, I'm like, you drunk praying. But anyway, praying, like, when that time came that I would know and I wouldn't have cold feet. And it was never scary with him. So that's why I'm always just... I can be kind of hard on my single friends. Like, don't settle, because I'm like, it should be easy. Yeah. Life is hard enough. This should be easy breezy.
That's right.
But yeah,
That's right.
But to get back to your question in regards... No, you're good. In regards to knowing, part of the knowing was, when I'm saying being very intentional, I would ask her, I don't even want to say sometimes I'm asking hard questions, but in some situations there were things that I'm witnessing where it's like, oh yeah, she's one. Like, there was one time, I don't remember when it was in the calendar, but she was at, like, some party, or something like that.
I was at a gathering.
Call it what you want. Gathering, party.
A gathering.
Potato.
No, potato, oranges. It was a gathering. Not
so, call it a gathering with a male friend from her. It wasn't like her and the male friend.
Yeah.
But some dude and a bunch of her friends. But I had never told her that kind of bothered me. But internally, she's like, oh, I'm going to so-and-so. But I had kind of put references together from having heard some of these names before, where I had already made up in my, I don't like this dude. But I never said anything to her. So I'm pacing back and forth in my little apartment, just angry, you know. So and it's like probably like midnight. So when I decided to go for a drive, I'm driving, because you know the Beltway is just a big circle. So I'm just driving circles, just angry, you know, on 695. And I think she calls me like, hey, where you at? And I started I think I started crying. I can't remember. But I started telling her, you know what I was saying. She was like, you know, you could have just told me that you was uncomfortable with me at going. Like, I wouldn't have went. Like, if it really bothered you that much. My brain, I'm like, oh, it was that easy? Like, I didn't know. You know, so and that could seem like that's a small situation, but that was really a precursor of really our life going forward, where it was like, okay, I can, to a degree, establish, you know, something that I might be uncomfortable with. Not to say that has to dictate her responses, but I'm learning now how to communicate. Hey, you know, I'm not really feeling this, whatever, where I used to, but I still do to a degree, just keep things in. That's kind of part of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But that was one early on where it was like, oh, okay then.
Right.
But yeah, and then there was a whole bunch of other things as time went on where she just listened to me. And then that was just something that was something I was looking for. Not that I had some lists, like it had to be these 10 things, but a woman that listens, which she always, that's just is what she did. Even if she disagreed, she listened. And so it was just like, oh yeah, I got one right here. So,
yeah. Wow. So you said you almost cried. Why was that?
Cause I was just a mess. Yeah, I honestly don't remember exactly. Oh, I cried.
Oh, he cried a lot.
Oh yeah, I cried. It just doesn't get seen.
Okay, so that's more so just between y'all two.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. Like I can start crying like around. Like
he gets very reflective.
Yeah, I'm very reflective.
You know. Okay. And he'll shed a tear, but he's not like.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
He's not like at movies and stuff.
Oh no.
No.
It's just fake. So that's a whole nother.
And now at a movie.
Yeah.
We have been in movie theaters and like someone has like died on screen and I am boohooing and he'll look over and be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's so fake. Like they're just doing a good job acting.
I'm like, we watching Wakanda Forever. I'm like, you don't feel this? And he's like,
I don't.
It's a movie. I know it's a movie. They're actors. I know how this works. But he'll cry about like real life things.
Got you.
And just being reflective on stuff. And then also, I think at that point, you're being angry.
Yeah, being angry and all that.
And dealing with stuff like I just feel like you weren't at your best of dealing with that.
Yeah.
You don't really cry to anger now. No. Yeah. It's like real life stuff now.
Yeah. I had to ask that because a lot of men just don't come out and say, "Oh yeah," and I cried, and then just keep talking. Like, hold on, what? You cried? You know? So, but you've always kind of, as long as I've known you, Shedrick, you've always been very authentic.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's all I know. It was funny. Before we came here, I was going to say something to Erica, but I was like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, you know, I'm authentic. I can't fake anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just let this flow.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who we were talking? One of my athletes.
Yeah, he don't know how to pretend.
Yeah. One of my
like
one of my athletes kind of was criticizing me about some stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna be fake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. But that's not to be like brash.
Right.
Bitter. It's just like you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you a real answer as best as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always been a halfway joke in our marriage, so to speak. Where it's like, just she doesn't say like lie to me, but
sometimes I'll be like, sir, just nothing big, but like it'll be little stuff. Not like how do I look, but just you know. You want to go do this? No. Okay. All right. Well,
just come straight out with it, right?
You don't even want to try to like tiptoe around this.
I don't.
Why would I do that?
To kind of get a language that I better understand. Sometimes she'll rephrase it like, so let's say she's like, "Hey, you want to go to Home Depot?" No. Hey, do you want to spend time with me, walk the aisles, and spend time with me and hold my hand as your wife? Oh, okay.
Oh,
then.
yeah.
All right.
I have to like,
sure, I'll go.
Like, was it Christmas? It was something recently. No, it was, I think, a work thing. And I was like, because it's like a work party. I know he didn't want to go, but I was like, hey, so tomorrow is the work party. We're going to go and make memories together at the place to make the memories and take pictures of the memories because we're making memories at the party together. The party's about memories for us. Like, I just kept saying memories. He was like, I got it. So I was like, okay, so that this is about memories. Okay.
I love it.
Because I'm like, let's not play this game. Like,
Right. I love it.
Now you know where I stand.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't want to do something, he'll tell me, like, no.
Yeah, just tell you flat out.
Yeah.
Right?
But if I ask him, can you do this? It's important to me. He will.
Yeah.
But if he's not gonna like read between those lines.
I won't.
So you're very what's the word? I don't know if I want to say logical.
Yeah.
I am logical.
Okay.
Very logical.
Maybe logical.
A realist.
Yeah.
I think that's the word I was looking for. Okay.
I am none of those things. I am none of those things.
That's so amazing though how
It's
God
crazy.
will put two completely different people together.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, you have similarities in other areas, right? But like you're very different in some areas. But God is like, I know, right?
Big
It works
opposites,
well.
but it works. It's weird,
Yeah.
like you say. It's these opposites somehow. It goes just like this.
Yeah,
Though.
that's
so
awesome.
I'm grateful.
I am also very grateful.
Aw. So your wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your wedding day. What were your emotions? What were you feeling? What were you thinking? Talk about that.
I don't even remember.
Well, I can.
I won't say what I do remember. Looking back on it, I do remember like getting ready with my mom and my sister and my girls. It was a good time. Like we were at my aunt's house. She made us breakfast. It was real chill. And I thought my wedding day would be more glam.
Okay.
I wasn't disappointed at the moment. Just thinking of me, you would think that I had like a whole thing, but it was real chill. I'm getting makeup and stuff and photographer, but it was really nice. And then I remember our pastor was late.
Okay.
But I remember sitting in the limo waiting, and everyone was like, "You're nervous?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." Like I was so chill, and I always remember how chill I was before. I wasn't nervous until like I had to get out and like everyone's looking at you because like I'm used to being the center of attention. That sounds cocky, but I've danced, I've sang my whole life, so yeah. But it was weird, like, oh no, everyone is looking just at me, and I was just like, I'm shaking, and my dad was like, he was super like affectionate that day, which is not like him, but it was really nice. Yeah. So it was a beautiful day, and the stuff that stands out, it was a lot of love, but I was very calm, which is good for me. But that's all. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, no, I remember because it was a Sunday, and so our pastor. It was a Sunday, so he actually did at that time I think an 8 a.m. service, and then the standard like 11. So that was part of it.
Yeah.
Me and my brother went to the 8 a.m. service, and then my dad was late as well.
There was a lot of people late.
My father was my best man though,
That's right.
and so that was a huge honor for me. But really, the whole intention for me was I was just trying to have sex.
Oh my gosh.
I was so
Talk
ready.
about realist.
I mean,
okay, Shedrick.
That's just
Wow.
what it was for me, so
Okay.
it had a schedule and everything, and I'm like, okay, I know she wants to dance and, do all this type of stuff, but
I cannot believe you said this.
but it was like, we need to get out of here.
We need to get out of here,
So,
right?
I mean, there are videos, because I'm reminded of this anytime a video comes on
gosh.
Facebook Memories, when, he's like, I kissed the bride, I kiss her,
He really,
and then I'm
he
like,
really
all
tried
right,
to
let's
like,
go.
no,
Let's
but he
end all
really
this.
like tongued me down, and I was like, yo, my mama is right there. Like, I'm not big on like public like with
affection.
my people. Like all our people are here. My grandmama is right there. Chill out. But it
I
was
waited
really nice.
too long. So I'm like, all right,
But
we can go ahead.
also though,
hug
when everyone was
everybody.
late, you did get mad.
I did. Yeah.
He almost had his uncle marry us because he was like, at this point,
Yo.
now apparently
Yeah, it was
sex was
delayed.
fueling that anger. But yeah.
I love it.
But it was only like 20, 30 minutes. It wasn't super late. I mean, it's late, but it
it was
wasn't
fine.
like 2 hours.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think my dad had went to
He went to
his
church
service.
and then went back to the house of Harper County. Then we got
then
married
came
in
back
like,
out. We were in Mount Airy. So that's like
Okay.
Frederick,
Yeah.
Frederick County and stuff. So it was a hike. Now I want to make clear, I don't hold none of this stuff against my pop. Like if there's any man I respect the most, it's my dad.
Yeah.
I love that man.
Yeah.
He just
We weren't gonna get married without him.
That's all. Yeah.
Well, he
was
was
just-
on a schedule.
It was
but-
emotions, emotions. But I let it down. I had my brother with me, so that helped out a lot as well. And then I think one of my friends, Jeremy, at the time, he was there, you know, and so it was great. So so it wasn't just about sex,
right?
But that was certainly a big part.
You said that was a big part. You said you were waiting for a long time.
Yeah, I'd never had sex before, so
wow.
I was solely like, all right, let's go.
Again,
August 5th, 2014.
Cedric, that's so rare for a man
It is.
these days to say that. How old were you when you guys got married?
Jesus, so that would if I'm
29.
Because I keep saying I'm 40.
You're not 40.
I'm not 40. But
Because if he older, I'm older. That's not how it works.
I'm closer to 40 than I am 35. So,
Oh my gosh.
I'll be 39. So
You were
that was
29.
29. Okay.
Or
28.
28. Because August. Yeah, 28.
So I was 28.
You were 28.
Yeah.
So for all the women out there who don't think that there are men who are virgins still out there, there are.
You just need one.
Yeah, and even if they aren't, that's still okay, because if God has done a work on them as far as, you know, soul ties go and, you know, all that stuff that comes along with fornication and having sex before marriage, that's okay. But I just want to say, here is a living testimony. He waited. So that's a blessing.
No, I appreciate that.
That's such a blessing.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't just about that. But
it wasn't.
It was a huge factor.
It was right there.
But I will say the other thing that I remember the most. Oh, it was. Obviously, my family was there, but my athletes have been such a huge part of my life, and I think I had probably like 25 to 30 of my current or former at that time high school athletes. And it was important for me to them to see that as an example for them as they go forward and get older and all those types of things.
Absolutely.
And so, because from even that wedding, there were at least 2 that I do believe ended up getting married.
Okay.
That were there as couples, you know, so to speak. And so that was big for me. And then that also just became a progression even into my life now. Because as I got married, I left coaching high school and you could say graduated to coaching collegiate, so to speak. And so it was like, all right, now I want to kind of on another level what I was doing at Western Tech, try to create that at Hopkins, which was a lot harder. But we're getting there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I love it. So I couldn't remember if you guys had a honeymoon. You guys had a honeymoon, right? So where'd you guys go and how was it?
You go ahead.
Okay. Also with him being a unicorn. So he plans all our vacations. Start with the honeymoon. I just show up and be cute. God knew my heart. So let me give her man that plan so she could just show up and be cute. But he planned the whole thing. We road trip to Tennessee.
Yes.
But we stopped. We went to a place in Virginia, a bed and breakfast in Virginia. Okay. And then we went to another place
in northern Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it ended up in the Smoky Mountains.
Basically. And we got like Airbnbs, and it was really nice. I remember one day just sitting eating like cookies and milk, watching something on TV, just chilling, because I planned the whole wedding. And I was just, at the honeymoon, I was just like...
Yeah, you were done, right? Yeah.
And it was just, mama drama. It was a lot. So I was also using this as like some away time. But it was super relaxing. It was really nice. We didn't go ziplining. That was a different vacation.
That was different. That was the next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the
road trip was fun.
Yeah, the first night was a bed and breakfast, maybe 10 minutes from... that was down where we got married, because again,
we got it, and then in the morning,
so, the next day.
Oh my god!
So the next day, this is all part of it. The next day, we drove down to if I remember,
River in Bend.
In at River Bend.
There you go.
In at River Bend. It's outside of Blacksburg, Virginia. It overlooked the New River. In Virginia, it's really beautiful.
It's really pretty.
And so that was for one night, and then from there, I think we stopped at like a Holiday Inn in northern Tennessee. I can't remember the name of the town, and then it was some little small town. And then from there, we ended up at an Airbnb for like 4 days in the Smoky Mountains, and then we just drove all the way back.
Is that what we did? Dance lessons?
Yes, that is what we
did.
did.
It was some little small town where he got us dance lessons. I forgot. It was like salsa. Was it salsa?
It was like salsa or something like that.
He can't dance at all. But because I like to dance, he was like, so it was really nice.
Right. Yeah, I gave it a shot.
Yeah. You did.
I was moving that day. My little steps, everything. I love it.
Okay. I love it.
When it comes to the lessons, I get really confident.
Real confident.
Like, I'm so confident.
Real confident.
And I have no skill.
And I'll be like,
yeah.
But I believe in you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I love it.
Like, look at me.
Yeah. He thinks that he is killing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I'm not going to crush your dreams, but okay.
And I appreciate that.
But it was a good time. It was really nice.
I love it. I love it. I do remember you guys had a beautiful wedding. It was an outdoor wedding.
Yes.
And it was like was it on a farm?
It was on a farm.
It was on a farm, yeah. And I remember the decor was really just reminded me of what's that show on HGTV?
Fixer Upper?
Not Fixer Upper. The couple that's based in Texas.
Oh yeah, you know. That's not Fixer.
You know
Fixer Upper. Joanne and Chip.
Oh, it is Fixer Upper. My bad. It reminded me of their style.
I was obsessed with them at the time.
Yeah, okay.
It was very farmhouse chic. That was my whole thing.
It reminded me of that. It was very beautiful. And when I look at the pictures of Jared and I at your wedding, it's so funny because both of us were kind of like, we gained weight. That was our first year of being married. So we were kind of like...
That first year, that heavyweight hit.
It's funny when I look back at those pictures. I'm like, look at my baby. He all kind of like thick. He's thick in that suit.
Oh, man. Yeah, I do got those photos.
Yeah. But it was definitely a beautiful wedding. And so, okay, so you guys had your honeymoon. And I remember, Shedrick, in your single days, you love to travel. So that's no surprise that you knew, you know, about those different places that you guys could go to. So what about your first few months of marriage? Just talk about what was life like now just living together.
I'm going to keep passing up the time for you first.
The first, you got to correct me if I'm wrong, because, you know, my memory, I got a million tabs open. I know for me, we never had, how people the first year is the hardest, and you're going to want to quit, but stick with it. We didn't have that. The first year was this is a great decision.
Okay.
I struggle a little bit with wanting to be this version of what a wife is. Okay. So in my mind, it's you know, now, granted, I'm not this person, but I thought when I got married, I would be you know, the cooking and the cleaning and all of this, and that's not me. So I was having my own battle of I'm not living up to my own expectation. And I remember him being
wow, he good.
Yeah, I don't want that. That's not who you've ever been. Why would you think that? And so just kind of learning what being his wife is instead of being you know, the wife kind of thing.
That's good.
But I don't really feel like it was even a big adjustment.
Yeah, no, it wasn't anything extensive. I will say I do feel like but I'll say me at least, were on the defensive, primarily because of some of what she mentioned, where people kind of are unintentionally, they don't mean anything bad by it, but it's watch out. It's going to get tough at some point.
Right.
So at times I felt like I was at least walking on eggshells because I'm expecting something to pop off.
Right.
And then this might come up later, but even as time went on, it was okay, well, something hasn't popped off, so it must it's going to be somewhere. It's gonna happen. You know, down the road. And so and early on though, we had a couple couples I'll never forget. Shout out to Pastor Devon and Charisma. There was one time they had mentioned, I think the both of us came over our apartment, I believe, and they were whatever, I'm paraphrasing, but whatever maybe people might have predicted, your journey is different because maybe some of the challenges that they had, y'all didn't make those same decisions that got you to this point. Right. And so that was really encouraging, even to this day, you know, so where it was kind of man, she said, we'll kind of hear about, and that doesn't mean we don't have challenges, we do.
Right.
You know, I've told plenty of people, our biggest argument, I think, to this day was about Joseph Flacco.
Joseph Flacco.
You know, so.
First of all, you said his whole first name. Second, for real, quarterback.
Joseph Flacco.
Hilarious.
You know, so where she was critiquing
I was talking
him.
about Joe Flacco.
She was talking about Joe Flacco.
He was on something else.
I took it she talking about me and every other leader who leads a team, but she's solely talking about Joe. Joe done got his money, he not this, that, and the other. I'm stop coming at Joe. I lost it. Oh, I lost it. I stormed out. I'm slamming doors.
Now, why is that? Is it because you're a diehard Ravens fan?
It had nothing to do with Joe, really. It was more, I am sensitive to critiques to leadership.
And coaches.
Okay.
And coaches. I don't care how bad they are.
Okay.
I don't care how they could be terrible.
Okay.
Or just you ain't got to come at them like that.
Got
you know, so and obviously the public eye, whether it's John Harbaugh, it don't matter who it was, he was the coach then.
Yeah.
Everybody critiquing. I'm there's a lot that we don't see behind the camera, so to speak. So I'm always giving them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm also that way with athletes too, except Lamar Jackson.
About to say, I know one you're not like that for. This is not a sports podcast.
I'm sure you can go deep in that.
Yeah, outside of Lamar, I tend to be very, very attempt to be understanding, and so that day I'll never forget. I remember I stormed out. I don't know where I went. I don't remember where I went, but I remember when I came back, she had went looking for me, which I did not like. We lived in Bolton Hill. And Bolton Hill wasn't bad, but it is 2 blocks from the hood.
In every
direction.
So it was like, all right, dang, I don't need you walking around trying to, chase me down, so to speak. But I remember when I came in, you had said something like, basically like, don't ever do that again.
Yeah. Just real calmly, like, hey, don't ever do that again.
Don't ever do that again.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but like to this day, again, we've had disagreements. We certainly get upset, things like that. But that was like the most passionate one, so to speak. I will also say, early on, I don't know how much she remembers. I know I remembered for me, there were times where she might have panic attacks. There were certain like episodes that would kind of just show itself. Now I had already been given a heads up, but to actually witness it kind of like live in our apartment and all those types of things. And even, I don't know how much of it's happened in our home, so to speak, or our house, but it didn't change anything. If anything, it just solidified. And so I was actually giving this example to a couple of athletes a couple of weeks ago, where it was like, I think that helped build her confidence, where she already knows I love her, but through those, call it trial trip, whatever you want to call it, where it's like, okay, now once you see that person walking with you through that, you really know they got your back, so to speak. So I'm sure there's a scripture to back that up. Perseverance, I think it's in James, that patience, when you get tested and everything like that. And so just like, and again, it's vice versa, but that was early in our marriage, hence why I brought that up. And it was like, oh, all right, this ain't nothing. Because I honestly had seen it to a much more extreme degree
with some of your students.
Well, not even just that too, but also my previous relationship.
Gotcha.
It was much more extreme, and so to me, I'm like, oh, this light work, in that regard.
Just show the tears. Just a little bit.
It's all good, and that's been the approach to this day, though.
Okay, got you. I think I do kind of remember that. I don't know if you were reaching out to me during that time.
Probably.
I think I kind of do remember that.
I probably was.
Yeah. So, okay, so first few months of marriage, you guys basically weren't like a lot of what couples expected to happen, right? Like, you in a honeymoon stage now, but just wait a few months, it's going, but you guys didn't really experience that, which is, again, a testament to every marriage isn't the same, right? So I want you guys to talk about, what about after a year or so, or a few years into marriage, were there any challenges that you guys faced at that point?
What do you think?
I know. Okay, so our second year of marriage, Shed worked at Catonsville Alternative School, and the kids there have been like put out of regular school, so they all have like issues, a lot of anger, a lot of disrespect. It's like their last stop before they like kicked out the system. And him having to deal with kids like fighting, cursing him out, threatening him every day, that was probably the most unhappy I think I've seen him. And Shed's pretty, like, I always joke that he could be content with like a mattress and a candle. Like, he is like very low maintenance. But that was probably just him having to go through that every day. You weren't like mean to me, but I could tell that you were just always like tense.
Heavy.
Yeah. So I remember someone asking us, like, oh, how's your second year going? I was like, it's fantastic. And he was like, it's been tough. And I was like, tough how? And he was like, I think we talked about it, because I'm like, you good? Like, am I okay? Like, what you mean tough? Right. And I think it was him realizing, like, oh, no, it's not that the marriage is tough. It's just that was tough. Yeah. And then coming home and trying to figure out how not to be angry and all of that. But, sometimes I think we're still in the honeymoon phase. Yeah. But I think our whole marriage is the honeymoon phase.
Yeah. No, that was a challenge, because it just made me angry, just dealing with disrespect. And honestly, it was a few excerpts that Jared actually said in part 1 that kind of, stuck with me. I think he was giving some insight to maybe a couple of new teachers, if I remember correctly, or something along those lines. And although I had been doing it for a while, I'd still say I was still new to it. And I did not like particularly young black men. I didn't care what their situation was. But this is also because of how I was raised. So it was like, I don't care who you are. You don't disrespect nobody.
Right.
But I couldn't do anything about it. It was actually one point closer to when I decided like I was walking away, where I remember I gave one young man some boxing gloves. I always carried boxing gloves in my trunk. And so I'm like, we about to fight this out. This kid was probably like 13. I don't know. But I was so fed up. I'm like, let's go meet me in the gym.
Yeah.
So we went in the gym, and I didn't hit him or nothing like that. But I was at the point where you about to get this one hitter quitter. Left hook. It's a wrap, and I'm probably getting locked up. But
which was a concern. Like, if you punch a kid, you can't coach no more. You know that, right?
Like, and that was also at that time I was coaching at Hopkins now, and it was a possibility I could be hired full time. And so one of the things that I was mindful of at times, but in that moment it wasn't on the forefront of my mind, was, I'm not trying to be deep, but I knew Satan was going to come at me with certain things that could disrupt my future somewhere down the road. And so I'm like, obviously, if I knock this kid out, I'd probably be in central booking or wherever they house people for like 10 plus. I don't know. But that opportunity and probably a whole bunch more would have been gone just from my one decision to lose my temper right there. So, but I also knew for me, like, I got to get out of this environment. And so even at that time, I didn't know if I was going to get hired full time, but I chose to kind of walk away. And so I guess we said it before this started, where I was like, hey, we're almost in like another season of a transition, so to speak, where she's about to walk away. Don't know what we're really going to do. So it was like, all right, hope it work out. So, and it was kind of like that at that stage as well. And so it was an angry period, so to speak, but it really had nothing to do with her. It had nothing to do with the marriage. It was more what I was dealing with internally. And I tended to always not keep everything to myself, but I would keep most things to myself.
Is that a part of the self-reliance?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
And so, and that's still, like I said, still kind of been going on to a degree. It just shows itself in different ways.
Yeah. What you laughing at over here?
Because he is still very self-reliant. Okay. It's just healthier now.
Okay.
That way. Yeah.
So let's talk about the self-reliance. When did you first notice that was an issue? Or being too self-reliant?
I don't know. I think it was something. So, little backstory. I'm the baby of my family. I am, according to many people, spoiled. I see now a little bit, but I don't think it's to the extent that they act like it is. So, in the beginning, I didn't really notice because it didn't affect me because he, like, when I met him, he had his own place. He, was establishing his career, so it was good because I wasn't signed up to take care of nobody. Like I was trying to get taken care of, so it was working for me. But then, like, as us being like a married couple, I just would have times where I felt like he didn't really need me. Like I'm just here cooking and having sex. like honestly, like you don't really need me for anything else.
Gotcha.
So there are times when it was like, oh, cool, because I don't have to, like, chase him around and clean up after him and stuff, like, make it for me. So, like, he's good on that. But it was also like, well, what am I really here for, kind of thing. And
when did you notice, like, how long are y'all married at this point?
I don't know. What would you say? A couple years, maybe?
I feel like that was probably, like, year 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that stage.
Okay.
Yeah, where that came up.
Because he can be, like, a lone wolf. And he's also very organized. So Shed has like a spreadsheet with his finances on it for like the last like 10, 20 years.
Yeah, it's about 25 years.
So like I don't pay bills. I mean, like our money is together, but he's
responsible for that.
Like I just kind of like came into his life, even like washing clothes. He has a schedule. Well, like he really oil changes. Like I am literally just there. Like, you want some eggs? Like, I just, like, that was it. Like, he had the whole schedule. Yeah. I mean, he didn't really need, in my mind, also because I came from a family where the women did everything. And the men were not as active as the women. So, me not really having to do anything, I'm thinking, okay, something's wrong. Because it was hard to envision a world where, like, I didn't do everything. Because I'm like, as a wife, I got to do everything. I'm not doing everything. Something's wrong. But then he's like, everything's good. But I'm like, I don't think this is it. And then I think it was you also holding stuff in. I feel like that kind of made me speak up a little bit more because I don't mind not having to do nothing. I'm cool with that. But just like maybe you would go through stuff and then I would find out later and I'm like, you could just told me, or I could have helped you with that. Or like, I'm here, right? Like I can go with you, or I can do this, or if you need me to wash clothes because you're busy, I can wash clothes, stuff like that. So I think it was those conversations of seeing him get stressed out or be running around, and I'm like,
right,
I'm right here,
yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you have other examples.
Yeah, no, I think that's I think you said it well. I guess to her point in regards to, I think part of it is whether it's accurate or not. I don't know fully, but it probably is. To a degree, I felt like that's what I witnessed from my father, and I don't put this. I'm not the type that blames parents for anything. I would never do that. For so long, I've been told, and it's probably very accurate. I am much like my dad, and so I carry
Y'all
that.
have the same name.
Yeah, and so, but I also carry that with a lot of pride, and so it was almost like as time went on, and to a degree, I still I want to be like my father, and so as a child, I just remember his mannerisms became my mannerisms, whether they were in my genetic code or not. I was just going to do what he did, whether it's right or not. It didn't matter. I've heard my dad is hard-headed. I'm hard-headed. And so it was just kind of like the same thing. I'm just going to follow his example.
Right.
But I also felt like he gave me a great example as a man. Now, and that's not negating my mom's, contributions. What I saw from him per se, I felt like I was doing with my wife. And so it was just like, and I'm sure, if she was here, she'd probably have a whole lot more insight in that regards. And so it was like, okay, but I'm also looking at it like they've been married, I don't know, 30 plus years now, something like that. Yeah. So I'm like, it must be right. So I'm good,
Right.
So for her, I didn't really, she was right in regards. I'm like, I really don't need you for much. And that sounds harsh. And so, but that was like, I don't need you to do this, that. I take care of all that. But part of my reasoning, and it wasn't necessarily about me in those moments. I at that time I was getting to learn, but even now, obviously, marriage is a continual learning process. But I feel like I know Erica better than anybody, and so I knew. We talked about this a lot, where her confidence was in certain things, and I would say that her confidence in some things is like. I don't even know why you're confident in that. It even shouldn't be like whether it's your looks or whatever. Like that's so.
You're a hater.
Like, it was so fake.
You won't be great.
And so, but what I wanted, because I also knew where her lack of confidence was, were in the real things. And so, like early on, when we were dating, she would one of the things that she would always say about herself, or that others say about her, she's crazy. She's crazy. She's crazy. She's crazy. And so I'd be like.
Like fun crazy though.
Okay.
But that didn't matter to me. Just the word crazy.
Right.
So I'm like, no, you're unique. You're unique. You're unique because in my brain, she's taking on this identity of crazy. I can't be my real self. So in my brain, I'm like, well, you're not. You're being somebody else in front of everybody else in regards to this life of the part. However you want to define it.
Right.
And so I was trying to she has a tendency to apologize for. Nothing. I mean, she could just be standing here. Let's say I'm trying to walk. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, what are you apologizing for? Like just little things. And
You
so
don't break me out of that. I feel like I'm a lot better with that.
you are.
Yeah.
No, you definitely are. You did it like 2 days ago, though. No, it was this morning. It was this morning. Yeah, when I was getting the vitamins, and you were just standing there, and you was like, "Oh, sorry."
I thought I was in your way.
You was. I'm like, I'm just going around. So it's just simple thing. But I wanted her to walk in confidence because I knew her history was I'm apologize for, or I'm hesitant. So like even when she's making her reels now, or whatever it is that she's doing. I don't need her thinking because I know she's always been thinking about what are other people thinking about me. Well, guess what? Your husband does not care. And I know that sounds crazy.
I love it.
He loves saying that.
I would be like, I don't care what you're doing. Go act a fool. And I'm like, she could jump around. I don't care what she's doing. Like, live your life. Be free. But that's why I want her confidently because in our marriage, that confidence can help her with the real world, so to speak. So you walk out there confident because in our secure marriage, our relationship, she's confident. And so I was also, and we would end up having real conversations about this where I'm like, okay, some of my methods are probably not best.
They weren't. Because he wasn't telling me this is his thing.
I was not explaining.
So it just literally seems like, I don't care what you do. Like, you're good. And I think also, you know, he came into our marriage a lot cleaner than I did. And in a previous life, I was more party girl, that kind of thing. So there was one time Shed says things, and I'd be like, I know what you mean, but what you said, and this was deeper in our marriage. We were in a house then. I think I was having a whole existential crisis because I was super busy, probably building something, making something, planning something, and I wasn't cooking and I wasn't cleaning. And he was like, you know, don't stress about those things. Like, I don't need that from you. He's like, all I really need is sex. And I'm like, I know what you mean. But I need you to rephrase. But I need you to rephrase. Because pretty much he was saying was just like, you don't have to worry about trying to fit me in right now. Just make sure you got some quality time for me. Like, I mean, we married. Like, maybe sex. I get that. But the way he said it, I was just like, I know my husband's heart.
Like, can we break that down a little bit more?
I'm going to not just jump on this. But at that point in life, I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
Before he ever said that, that's like the vibe I was getting, not knowing that he's like, because when we first got together, I think I was in school full time, I was working full time. I'm always doing 25 things at once. And so he's always been like, just do what you got to do. Like, I'm here, I support you. But it was coming off as just like, I don't care, but sex. And before, that was something that I felt like, that's only how men viewed me, was sex. Now, these are two different situations.
Right.
He is not those people. His heart is not their heart. It's a whole different thing. But it gave me that, like, I'm just like a good time girl. You know what I mean? Like, all you want is just sex. Like, I didn't get married for this. So it was like, you're going to have to explain to me this thing. And then the more we talked, I kind of got it. And I feel like I am more independent and more self-confident because of it. But I also feel like he had to learn to, like, hey, this is like a partnership. Like, this is a together thing. Because if we're not going to do this together, why are we doing this?
Right.
Like.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's how I feel.
Yep.
But I don't know if that answers the question.
No,
like,
you did. No,
definitely. And I was just thinking as you were talking, Shedrick, about how you so modeled after your dad. Would you also say a lot of your independence came from just being single for 28 years, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have any real relationships other than right before America, like for real. And even in that one, to a degree, it was taking care of someone that had some real serious challenges. And so it was always like, I am kind of taken care of. So I'm going to be that responsible one. You know, same thing, obviously being the oldest, you know, with my brothers 18 months younger than me, and then my little sister, she's, I guess, 9 or 10 years, so to speak. And so just that, then having to be a head coach, you know, so just, I just think it's just your job to just take care of. But I also didn't see it as pressure per se. It's just like, this is just who I am. So even for her, it's almost like, honestly, I don't know how to say it clearly, but I enjoy leading my wife. Like, there's a lot of leadership things that I run from where I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with that. And she knows.
Like that alternative school.
Or it's like, it's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, man, let somebody else take care of that. But, you know, having grown up, and it's like, okay, you got to take responsibility. All right, bet. You know, just go ahead and get this done. And we keep it moving. And so I guess it definitely could have been, you know, from, I guess, being single. I mean, there was I just wouldn't call them relationships, but, you know, it might have been like, oh, we like each other for 4 weeks or whatever, you know, a couple dates. But I knew it wasn't going nowhere. Right. And so even if I didn't say anything, it was like something in me, like, this ain't going nowhere.
Right.
But I'm like, hey, I remember one time hitting up my brother, like, yo, this girl right here, like, we connected, like, I'm just lonely. So, like, you know, we just going over her house, or we just going bowling, whatever. But this ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
But I knew that, that's also when I knew, like, something wrong with me at this stage. Like, I don't want to get down, you know, because that's how you can get in trouble.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I guess I would say.
And in addition to that, also, just being single and caring for yourself.
Yes.
Like you're living on your own, you're paying your own bills. Like you say, he got this mad spreadsheet. You know what I mean?
Like, I will say that Shed is so self-sufficient. Like, so self-sufficient. So, like, when did I had COVID in last year. It was like, I was like, I almost made it through this whole thing. And he was in the guest room because he was like, I'm not trying to get it. And I low-key was like, I'm never gonna see him again. Because I'm like, you got your own room. We still see each other. I was like, this is a good setup for you. Don't get you comfortable because like this works for you. Like he literally would be like, all right, well, good night, and go in the room and like close the door. And I'm in the hallway like, he's good. He loves it. He was literally like, we were like living together but separate, and I was like, he's gonna revert back to who he was and be like, I don't think we need to, you know, we could just meet at certain times. But yeah, he's very self-sufficient. Like he pays all his bills, he washes all his clothes, he has a schedule for, you know, everything. As far as coaching, over the years, he has let me be involved. And it has benefited, but he doesn't really need me to be involved there. Like he doesn't really need me. I'm okay with that because I know he wants me and he chooses me. But it took a while to be okay with that because I think growing up you're taught like, you know, all the love songs, I need you, I can't live without you. No, he can live without me. He's not gonna die. You know what I mean? But it's just like understanding that him wanting me and choosing me is even better. Because I know other situations or family stuff or friend stuff where the other person is like dependent. Like dependent. It's like, I don't want that. That's too much pressure. Like no.
I would add to that. So like even with the need, obviously I do need her.
Well, you know what I mean.
I just want to clarify the practical things. I don't need her to do, but for the quality of life that I desire, more so soulishly, I absolutely need her. And so I'm like, I don't need to care for. I don't care about cooking. Now we got to get better with that because we, you know, the weight's starting to show up with all the fast food. But those practical things and like those are trivial in regards to as I've come to learn what her real value is. And so like in my role, and when I say my role, like I really do believe I'm fully supposed to be just really giving my life to these young people. And so that's how I see it. But in order for me to really do that at my absolute best, I need her in my corner. And especially now, especially at this collegiate stage, I notice it more than ever, especially with the young ladies. They gravitate more towards her. And I'm so grateful for that. Like, you know, it makes it easier. It also helps develop more of a trust factor, you know, so it's like, okay, he's married, you know, so also with the parents, you know, so as I'm getting older, I used to be that, oh, that's that cool, yo, what's up? Because we closer in age. But now, like, I'm starting to get gray hairs and everything, you know, so it's like I'm closer to, I was asking one of my girls, they came over our house last Sunday. They came over for dinner, and I asked one of them, like, how old is your mom or dad? And he said 42. I'm like, that's like 3 years older than me. Like, that's scary.
Yo,
3.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, I'm like, crazy. I could really be your dad. You know, so it's just like, oh, man. And so, but I was using that as an example for them of some of the challenges I have, where I'm like, I feel like I don't relate to y'all like I used to with my older, when I was 4 years or 6 years apart. Now we talking like 20 years apart, you know, for some of them. And so, but they like, when they came over Sunday, I drove 3 or 4 of them back. 3 of them were like, I love your wife so much, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I'm like, yes. So just keep creating those connections. And so, but for me to really even do my job, that's with the women, and I don't want to say job, but what I believe God has called me to do, and really genuinely lead. I also have, vent's probably not the right word, but I got to have somebody that I'm talking to and working through some of my thoughts. And so I used to, and to a degree I still do at times, even just your everyday mundane activities. She asked me every day, how's your day? I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'll leave it at that. Now, there was a whole bunch of things that actually took place over the course of the day, but to me, it's like, oh, that's just the mundane things. But I realized I need to start talking about these because they really aren't mundane. In the moment, they seem like it to me, but they're really building up to more serious things, and so I need to kind of address them while they're small, so to speak. And she listens to that, even if you don't want to, you know. So even if she has no idea, you know what I'm saying. She'll okay, you know, all those types of things. Now, why it was hard for me to do that is because I don't be wanting to do that on the flip side, and so that's just like. Why are you telling me this? You know, so it was kind of.
That's the vibes you be giving. I'm like, lie. Act like you're interested.
And so I'm not sharing because it's like to a degree. I don't want me to share. Yeah. So that's where it's like, I just keep, oh, how was your day? It was fine. Like, it was cool. Or like, it was all right. Tomorrow will be a better day. Boom. Keep it moving. Right. And so that's kind of, you know, where it came from. I also do think in a slightly different vein, this came to me when I think you had asked Erica a question. I don't know how fully accurate it is, but I do think somewhere deep down inside, when my biological mother passed away, even though, and I was 5, there was always a really big fear of having to live and your spouse passing away. And so, because I saw my dad have to do that, and I talked to him about that probably about before I met Erica, and I remember talking to him about it, and he just started crying. You know, so I'm like, dang, that was 1990, and let's say that you call it, that was probably 2012, and just to see like that's still a wound. Now, I will say he also realized, because we talked about it, within 2 years he got remarried, and he was like, I can't raise 2 boys at that time on my own. Like, I need a woman to get this done. And I'm sure there are things that he could share, like, yeah, you know, I probably didn't do this right, or whatever the case may be. I think at times I might be living that part out sometimes, like the practical side of, okay, I should probably share a little bit more, you know, so to speak. And so that has been an evolving process, I would say. And so, and over the past few years, I've definitely gotten better, but it gets better, I guess, because it also gets exposed in certain situations.
Yeah, sometimes you can't help it, right?
Yeah, so it's like I have to. I gotta do something. So
wow, you said a whole lot right there. That was really good. So you guys would definitely say that your communication has improved over the years, right?
Yeah.
So, Shedrick, how is it though, even though your communication has improved, are there just still some things that are just uncomfortable for you to share, or just you're still just like, oh, I don't want to talk about this, but like kind of like what you explained, like what's going on internally that makes you not really want to communicate as much? Well, that was part 1 of episode 28 featuring Shedrick and Erica Elliott, where the title of this episode is Overcoming Self-Reliance in Marriage. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in today to Breakthrough Conversations. And if this has blessed you, please go ahead and like the episode, share it with others that they may be blessed, and leave a comment in the comment section letting us know how it blessed you today. Also, don't forget, please subscribe to the channel. I hope that you are ready to see part 2 of this episode, which will premiere next Thursday, August 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, everyone, enjoy your day and be blessed.